Welcome to the Marketing Chief Podcast. I'm your host, Rob Collins. This bonus episode is our continuing conversation with the general manager of Turner Classic Movies, Pola Changnon. In this first section, Pola talks about the challenges of remote production.
And then don't forget, it gets more complicated if we have guests. So we often want to bring in people from a wide spectrum of contemporary culture to talk about these movies. It might be filmmakers, could be athletes, could be other kind of pop cultural figures who care as much about movies as we do. They just come at it in a different way. They're like major fans sometimes. So we've, in an interesting way, had more flexibility because we haven't required people to fly into our studio in Atlanta or fly into our studio in LA. Wherever they are, they're able to show up, and that's been kind of a real upside. And I was just talking to the head of our studio group saying, in some ways you've been forced into innovating, but there are a lot of these tricks that are now going to be available to you going forward that are economical, that are super nimble. And it won't be what you rely on because it is slower, but it'll be so great in the mix of what we do and how we produce.
There really are some creative ways out there that people and even in newscasts have
Yes, for sure.
pivoted. I do cringe when I'm watching the news and somebody's Skyping in and the video drops out or the audio drops out, or you're listening to a podcast like this and we're on Zoom and maybe the connection drops out from time to time.
Yeah,
but
or to God, people don't look at themselves on their monitor and you can sort of see that they don't recognize that the camera's under their chin and
right.
all you see is their ceiling or whatever it is. But it has been interesting. I think there are some positives in that. I feel like, especially with news, I feel such a deeper connection with a lot of that talent that has been forced to work from home. And you see their environment, you're like, oh my God, I really like their art. Oh my God, what a great photography collection. And there's just such a new layer of humanity that you assess as you're taking all that in. It can also be a huge distraction, because I'm like, wait, what is that book on the corner?
But it's better than how a lot of them started out, which was a green screen with, logos behind them. And I'm so glad that we're seeing actual living environments now.
Yeah. The neat thing for us is, again, it's been over a year now that we've had to modify production, but we're starting to move back into studio next month.
Great.
Here in Atlanta. And everyone is just super excited because those are muscles that are well trained. And not only for the studio group, but also for the talent. It just takes a lot of pressure off of what they have to do. They just really literally need to do their job now, not all the extra stuff.
Pola discusses TCM's commitment to quality and how HBOMax helps the network reach more fans.
Again, we're part of this larger structure, Warner Media, and we make movies in this company. We make TV shows. All of us sort of under the same tent now more than ever. Really, it's organized that way. And the thing that we keep hearing from our colleagues at different parts is, TCM means quality. I would love to figure out a way to work with you guys on something that we're doing or bring our talent to your show or, have one of our guys be a guest programmer for a night on TCM because those movies influenced what they're doing now. Things like that just kind of reinforce, I think, the space that we're in. More than anything, though, the thing that is our challenge for sure is ensuring that we are leaning in enough to things that are accessible to an audience beyond where we are right now. And, cable is a significant place for us. It's our home, but we know we need to be doing more to ensure the future life of this brand. And HBOMax is a big part of that.
It's a great platform, I think, to broaden your reach. I remember someone said to me years ago, the movies aren't old if you've never seen them.
That's right.
Right? The stories are new and the stories are good, and that's why they have survived the test of time. You can experience them in a new and different way. I remember the first time I saw Casablanca was in the movie theater because of the TCM series. And someone said, "You've never seen that before?" And I thought they were saying it almost in a negative way.
Right.
Like where have you been hiding? And what they said was, how great that the first time you saw it was on the big screen.
That's right.
Because that's the way it should be seen.
That's right. I think you're you're exactly right. And I think, the network's been around 27 years. And so there are generations that have grown up learning about classic movies in that way. That's not how I learned about classic movies. I had to see them chopped up on TV, commercial interruption, edited like in some willy-nilly way. So in some way, we've created an expectation that you should see a movie without commercial interruption and the way it was meant to be seen. No editing for time or content. It's like, no,
Or
and
format
it's
even.
cool. It's really cool. And we want to make sure that we're providing that same experience and access to future generations in HBO Max.
Pola discusses the connection TCM has with its fans.
One thing I was going to say, just back to kind of aspects of TCM that are unique. As I said, we just had our 27th birthday. We didn't like market it at all because we've got other things going on right now, and 27 is a weird number. But we got so much love in social. People saying, "Happy birthday, TCM. Here's one of my favorite memories of TCM." And you're like, "Oh my God, whoever does that for a network?" That is just one of those signs that people are passionate about this because we represent these experiences you can't find elsewhere, and it's not commoditized, right? We really treat each movie with the respect it's due, even ones that, let's face it, they're not all Casablanca. We've got some weirdo little, maybe less prestige pictures, but we're still going to treat those with respect and be creative in how we curate and present them.
Pola shares one of her favorite movies. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen this one. What's your favorite movie quote? Or phrase?
So I am one of the worst people about quotes. I really am.
Okay.
It just came up recently. I literally have to go look up things that I know I love. It's more movie moments and scenes,
Okay.
And I think one of my favorite movies that I return to regularly for almost sustenance, because it's so rich for me, is Notorious by Alfred Hitchcock, starring Cary Grant and Ingrid Bergman. And it's everything I love. It's very sinister, but romantic. And it's also got, as far as stakes, there are Nazis in the background. There's, like all these incredibly, what's the word, interlocked moments in the movie that are just played out so incredibly well. But one of the ones that I love is I don't know if I should spoil it because it's at the end of the movie.
Yeah,
But
don't spoil it because it's new to me, right? If I haven't seen it, it's new to me.
There's a moment where literally all these Nazis who are now in Buenos Aires are plotting to still do evil, but now from Latin America, which is true. There was this incredible exodus to South America for Nazis after the war, and they got lost and could carry on. It's really incredible. But so that's going on sort of in the background of the story. Ingrid Bergman has been slowly being poisoned, and she was like a sort of spy living in the house of one of these Nazis. Cary Grant at this very moment figures out, oh my God, she's not hungover all the time. She's being poisoned. She does love me, because he thinks their love affair is over. And he has to, on the one hand, be as smooth as silk to get by this room of Nazis, make his way up to the ailing Ingrid Bergman, carry her down while they're all watching, and he's trying to be cool, and she's basically passed out. And they make it into the car at the last minute, and he locks the door literally as they're about to break in. And it's just one of those moments where every time I'm like, are they going to get in the car safely? And will they be in love? I think they will.
I like that. I like that ending. That's a great ending. Thanks for joining us on this bonus episode of the Marketing Chief Podcast.